Dickens World. Most theme parks promise joy, magic, and adventure. This one promised Victorian sewage and misery. Tucked away in the small town of Chatham in Kent, Dickens World tried to do something nobody else on Earth had ever attempted: turn the heavy, dark novels of Charles Dickens into a full-blown amusement park. Stepping inside felt like walking into a forgotten chapter of Oliver Twist. Cobblestone alleys twisted between crooked Victorian shops. Gas lamps flickered through artificial fog. Costumed beggars, thieves, and stern schoolmasters lurked around every corner. Guests floated through a creepy Great Expectations boat ride, watched ghostly Dickens characters in a haunted house, and sat through scolding lessons inside a recreated 19th century schoolroom. But the boldest move of all? The park literally pumped in foul stenches, fake sewer smells, dirt, rotting fish, to recreate the real stink of old London. Tourists were horrified. Critics dragged it apart. Ticket sales dropped fast. After years of struggling to survive, this strange literary park finally collapsed in 2016, proving that even with a £62 million budget, you can't sell people a day trip to Victorian suffering. Angry Birds Land. Back in 2012, the world was completely obsessed with one mobile game, and Finland decided to turn that obsession into a real-life theme park. Angry Birds Land was born in Tampere, opening as a wild celebration of the small studio that took over every smartphone on the planet. The moment you walked in, the cartoon exploded into reality. Massive green pig statues stood guard near twisting wooden structures. Giant red, yellow, and black birds towered over the rides, glaring down with their signature furious eyes. Kids screamed with excitement. Parents pulled out cameras. Even adults who never touched a phone game suddenly knew exactly where they were. The park featured slingshot games where guests could launch real birds at piggy targets. Themed roller coasters, mini rides, a 4D cinema, photo zones, and entire souvenir shops dedicated to the game. Even the food court served Angry Birds-themed snacks. While other theme parks chase fairy tales or superheroes, this one captured the first true mobile gaming pop culture explosion in history. A wacky, colorful tribute to the era, when an angry red bird ruled the entire world, built right in the heart of Finland. Dwarf Empire. Hidden deep in the mountains of Kunming, China, sits one of the most controversial theme parks ever built, a place that has shocked, divided, and fascinated the entire world. Dwarf Empire isn't your average tourist destination. The entire park is staffed, managed, and performed in by little people who live inside colorful mushroom-shaped houses spread across the grounds. Every day, tourists pour in to watch musical shows, mini parades, costume dances, and theatrical performances starring the residents themselves. Wearing royal capes, fairy outfits, soldier uniforms, and storybook costumes, the performers play kings, queens, and warriors in a fantasy kingdom built just for them. To the founder, it's a community where little people can find work, friendship, and dignity in a society that often pushes them aside. To critics worldwide, it's seen as exploitation dressed up as entertainment. Visitors leave with mixed emotions, amazed by the talent of the performers, but uneasy about the ethics behind the attraction. Whether you see it as a refuge or a spectacle, one thing is undeniable: Dwarf Empire is unlike any other theme park on Earth, sparking debate in nearly every country it's been featured in. Suoi Tien Park. Forget fairy tales and princesses. This Vietnamese theme park drops you straight into the world of Buddhist mythology, ancient legends, and the horrors of the afterlife. Tucked away on the outskirts of Ho Chi Minh City, Suoi Tien Park is one of the most surreal attractions on the planet. The moment you step inside, massive stone dragons twist through the air, golden Buddha statues tower above the trees, and giant mythical creatures stare down from every corner. Visitors cross moats filled with real living crocodiles, and yes, you can buy raw meat on bamboo poles to dangle over them. Kids splash in fairy tale water parks while monks chant softly in nearby temples. But the wildest attraction of all is the legendary Hell Ride. Inside dark tunnels, terrifying statues show graphic Buddhist depictions of sinners being tortured for their past lives, boiled, sliced, hunted, and punished by demons. It's horrifying, it's bizarre, and it's surprisingly packed with school kids learning about karma. Suoi Tien isn't just a park. It's a spiritual carnival, a mythical wonderland, and one of the strangest tourist destinations, Nara Dreamland. Long before Tokyo Disneyland existed, Japan tried to build its own version of the Magic Kingdom, and the result was hauntingly unforgettable. Nara Dreamland opened in 1961 in the quiet city of Nara, inspired almost shot for shot by the original Disneyland in California. There was a Main Street USA, a fairy tale castle, a jungle cruise, even a Matterhorn-style mountain coaster. For decades, Japanese families flocked to it as their first taste of American-style theme park magic. But once the real Disneyland opened in Tokyo in 1983, everything changed. Visitors disappeared, revenue collapsed, and by 2006, Nara Dreamland silently shut its doors, locked up and abandoned overnight. What happened next turned it into a global legend. The rides stopped, but everything stayed. Roller coasters rusted in place. The castle slowly cracked. Vines crept across the carousel. Stuffed animals sat untouched in the souvenir shops. For over a decade, the park stood frozen, a creepy, decaying ghost of Disney that drew urban explorers, photographers, and YouTubers from around the world. Eventually demolished in 2017, Nara Dreamland still lives on through haunting photos, proof that even magic kingdoms can die. Gulliver's Kingdom, at the foot of Mount Fuji, in one of the eeriest places in all of Japan, once stood a theme park so bizarre it felt cursed from the start. Gulliver's Kingdom opened in 1997 with one massive, jaw-dropping centerpiece, a 45-meter-long statue of Gulliver lying flat on the ground, tied down by ropes, exactly like the famous scene from Gulliver's Travels. Visitors could climb on him, walk across his chest, and snap photos beside his giant frozen face. But the location was where everything went terribly wrong. The park was built right next to Aokigahara Forest, Japan's infamous suicide forest, and beside an old chemical compound. Bad press piled up fast. Tourists felt unsettled. Crowds stayed away. Within just 4 years, Gulliver's Kingdom went bankrupt and shut down forever. After abandonment, the park became one of the most chilling places in Japan. Gulliver's giant body sat alone for years, slowly rotting under the rain, surrounded by silent woods and ghost stories. Today, the statue is gone, demolished in 2007. But the haunting photos of the lonely giant still circulate online, proof that some parks are more legend than memory. Wonderland Kalkar, Germany once spent billions building a nuclear power plant, only to turn it into an amusement park instead. Located in the small German town of Kalkar, Wonderland Kalkar sits on the grounds of a fully constructed nuclear facility that was completed in the 1980s, but never switched on. After billions of dollars and years of construction, the plant was abandoned just before activation due to public fear and political pressure. Then, in 1995, a Dutch investor bought the entire site and turned it into the most unusual amusement park on Earth. Today, families pour through the gates to ride coasters, spinning swings, and carnival rides that loop directly around the massive cooling tower. Inside the tower itself, painters transform the cold concrete into a brightly colored climbing wall and swing ride. Children laugh and play exactly where nuclear fuel was once meant to burn. It's part theme park, part history museum, part surreal accident. Where else on the planet can your kid eat cotton candy beside a real reactor? Only at Wonderland Kalkar, the boldest, weirdest reuse of nuclear engineering ever attempted. Enchanted Forest, tucked deep into the woods of Oregon, sits one of the strangest theme parks ever built, and it wasn't designed by a company, a corporation, or a famous architect. It was built by one man with his bare hands. In 1971, a dreamer named Roger Tofte spent years carving sculptures, painting figures, and shaping a magical world out of the forest itself, turning his lifelong love of fairy tales into a real, walkable storybook. The result is Enchanted Forest, a handmade wonderland packed with giant witches, hunched dwarves, crooked cottages, evil giants, and life-size storybook scenes straight out of classic European folklore. Visitors stroll through Hansel and Gretel's candy house, peek inside the Seven Dwarfs' cabin, climb up to Rapunzel's tower, and crawl through dark caves guarded by goblins. But the strangest part? The statues look slightly off. A little creepy, a little dusty, with eyes that seem to follow you. That eerie homemade charm is exactly why fans love it. Over 50 years later, the park is still running, proof that one passionate dreamer with chisels, paint, and imagination can create magic no big company ever could. Tierra Santa. A 40-foot robotic Jesus rises out of a stone mountain every single hour. And somehow, this is a real theme park. Welcome to Tierra Santa, the world's first fully religious amusement park, hidden right in the middle of Buenos Aires, Argentina. Opened in 1999, this place doesn't sell roller coasters or fairy tales. It sells a journey 2,000 years back in time, straight into the streets of biblical Jerusalem. The moment you step inside, modern life vanishes. Sand-colored buildings line dusty alleyways. Costumed actors play Roman soldiers, shepherds, and disciples. Camels and goats wander freely between visitors. Live performances dramatically reenact the Last Supper, the the birth of Jesus, and the crucifixion in shocking detail. But the centerpiece is unforgettable. Every hour, a massive animatronic Jesus slowly rises from a mountain, lifted by hidden machinery, surrounded by smoke, lights, and booming orchestral music. Tourists gasp. Children stare in disbelief. Some visitors even cry. It's part church, part theater, part bizarre theme park spectacle. Nowhere else on Earth offers an experience this dramatic, this spiritual, and this strangely entertaining, all under one giant biblical sky. Cabazon Dinosaurs. Two giant dinosaurs tower over a lonely stretch of desert highway in California, and one of them secretly hides a creationist museum inside. Welcome to the Cabazon Dinosaurs, one of the strangest roadside attractions in American history. Built starting in 1964 by sculptor Claude Bell, these massive concrete monsters weren't just art, they were a lifelong dream. The first creation was Dinny the Apatosaurus, a 150-foot-long brontosaurus that took 11 years to build by hand. Then came Mr. Rex, a towering 65-foot Tyrannosaurus Rex with sharp teeth, glowing eyes, and a fierce desert glare. Tourists immediately fell in love. Travelers stopped from across the country just to climb inside Dinny's belly, which housed a souvenir shop and gift store. The dinosaurs became so famous, they even appeared in the iconic 1985 film Pee-wee's Big Adventure. But after Bell's death, new owners gave the park a strange twist. They turned part of it into a creationist museum, claiming dinosaurs and humans walked the earth together just 6,000 years ago. Half roadside marvel, half religious statement, the Cabazon Dinosaurs remain one of America's weirdest, wildest, and most unforgettable attractions.